What's going on, man?
Whoopsie daisy. Not a whole lot. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good. Just chilling out.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I mentioned it to you earlier. I will mention it now on the show. Thank you again for hanging in there. I'm sorry it's been so long since we did one of these, man.
Man, that's all good, man.
Thank you, man.
It's that time of year when schedules just get all messed up.
Yeah, it was funky. The Super Bowl and Valentine's Day just beat the snot out of me, man. So I'm like, oh, Lord.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Gives us plenty of stuff to talk about.
Oh heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
I did watch the game and dug it, and as you know, uh, that's pretty that's pretty much all I remember about the games. Well, I know a lot of people around here were satisfied and happy that Matt Stafford won, but really, honestly, uh, either way it went, I would have been satisfied. I didn't really feel like I had a whole lot of stake in the game.
I feel the same way. I enjoyed the Bengals run. That was really fun. Like I told you, man, that started with watching a Bengals game earlier this year from La Rosa's, inside of La Rosa's in Cincinnati, and it's like this is right down the street. So it was just neat. It was a cool thing, but mainly Bengals Rams is just the Super Bowl that I wanted for exactly the reason you're talking about. I love watching games where it's neutrals and I just am watching it to have a good time. Pardon me, and I worked that day, so I didn't see the game, but just putting on, hearing what happened and putting on the highlight reel and looking at it was cool, man. But ultimately, I feel bad to abandon the Bengals at the 11th hour, but it just came down to Joe's just getting started, and it's exactly what you said. I'm so happy that Matt Stafford got a shot at a Super Bowl and he won it. And like we talked about, man, with the Rams investing as much as they did in this season, it's neat when people. I give you a perfect example because I talk junk about Joel Embiid and the 76ers all the time. But if the Harden acquisition can put them over the top, man, good for y'all. That it's like
Yeah,
this is cool because clearly they are going for it. So good for them. I think that's
yeah,
super cool. I'm not, of course, I'm still Atlanta and Milwaukee, and there's several teams I would like to see over Philly. But hey, man, them going for it is very cool. So I'm
it's
like, yeah,
it's more often than not those teams that really make that push, it doesn't work.
it's
So
true.
I like to see it work out.
It's absolutely true. I agree. And the Rams, I'm just exactly what you said, man. It's like the Raptors a few years ago. It was cool that
Mm.
that worked. And with the Rams going in for Stafford and going in for Von Miller, and even before that, like when they invested so heavily in Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, this is cool. It's real cool. So I'm quite happy about that. Good for them.
And it's just nice to for in the case of Matt Stafford, you saw real quick just how much time he wasted in Detroit, and it's not it's not that he deci- decided to waste it. It's like, man, the team just did not give a damn. So move on.
Detroit's a weird one. Detroit's a strange one because like with the Knicks, just you know James Dolan just sitting with his around with his thumb up his butt for a decade and a half. That's
Yeah,
very frustrating. I don't necessarily think that the ownership of the Lions or the front office of the Lions. I don't. I really don't get the impression that they don't care. I think they're just not good at it.
yeah,
It's kind of sad. It's
yeah,
really frustrating because between Barry and Calvin and Matt, man, that's a lot of wasted potential. And especially you go back with like the Wayne Fonts teams in the early 90s. And I ain't saying they were going to beat Dallas, but Detroit was good. They had some really good teams. And I don't know what it is, but there are certain organizations that are just so classy and run so well that it's like, yeah, the St. Louis Cardinals, Pittsburgh Steelers, they're just always competitive and it's good. Then there are teams that just don't care, and those are the ones that I can't stand. But man, there's
yeah.
that weird little fraternity, including the Lions, where you would really like to see them have some success, but it's like they just can't get out of their own way because they just don't know how to do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dang, you
That's
know,
just hard.
yeah, it sucks. It sucks, man. But that being
Drafting is hard.
it is. But I think that as far as Lions fans are concerned, man, overwhelming, insane outpouring of incredible joy that Stafford won is pretty damn cool. That's
Yeah.
just neat that, right there in the middle of the Midwest, you had like Rams fans because like, yeah, that's awesome, man. Because I mean,
Yeah.
Matt's the man. He's great. So everybody likes Matt.
Yeah. But like you're talking about with Joe Burrow, one of the uh, neat things I saw is one of the statistics that, of course, I didn't fact check because I don't do that because it takes time. I'm not going to do that. But it's one of the things that almost persuaded me to pull for Joe in that game harder than I did was somebody pointed out the fact that if he had won the Super Bowl, he would have been the first quarterback in NFL history to have won a Heisman Trophy, a national championship, and a Super Bowl ring. And there's a lot of guys that have got two of the three in different combinations, but nobody's ever put all those together. And if he would have done it, he would have done all of it within 3 years.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of I really like the idea of Joe getting back. I think everybody's pulling for Joe to get back. And the thing is, I know that it's a huge talking point now. Now, man, their offensive line sucks. He got sacked too much. They're awful. People aren't wrong, but the thing about Cincinnati, if we're just talking about them as a team, is that they've got Joe on a rookie deal. They've got what the heck's his name? The freaking receiver that is so good. The other LSU guy, Jamar Chase.
Mm.
I think that's right. That might be incorrect. But the kid from LSU, he is a literal rookie. So they've got lots of big pieces on that offense on good money deals, which is very cool. Basically, if you look at that team, okay, the offensive line is a problem, but it's the only problem they have. And so you know exactly what to address this off season. You improve it the best you can and go see what you can do next year. That's awesome. I mean, that's really cool that they literally have like one hole. So cool. You focus on that and it'd be great for Joe to get right back. And it's cool too. One of the neat things about Joe Burrow is because I've never been a huge LSU guy, but it was fun watching him succeed down there. He's such a good dude that he's very easy to pull for, and so I mean I would love that. That would be super cool. But in the meantime, like you were saying, it was difficult not to because it would just have been a cool story. But I'm happy for Matt, man, because I don't know. Now it's funny to me that now the criticism of Matt Stafford is, well, Richard Sherman says he's not a Hall of Famer, so let's talk about how he's not a Hall of Famer. And it's like, yeah, but you can't say he's not a Super Bowl champ. So they have
Mhm.
knock yourselves out talking about whether or not he belongs in the Hall of Fame. That's
Yeah.
fine. Have that conversation because you can't have this conversation, and I love that. That makes me
Yeah.
very. It's the same thing with, a guy like Giannis, who I love, and I know Giannis is real early in his career, but Giannis drives me crazy because all the criticisms that people levy against LeBron, against KD, against every player they don't like, Giannis ticks all those boxes, but we don't like
Yeah.
him. Why not? No one has a good reason to not like Giannis. I'll give you one of the crazy boxes. It came up today. It's the All Star game. Everyone knows the NBA All Star game is 275 to 276. Always it's points. Everybody does that thing. Nobody plays
Mhm.
defense. We're just having a good time. Not 34. 34 wanted to win. He wanted
Mhm.
to win. He actually swatted two, not one, two of his teammate Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton goes for this lob, this little alley oop lob, and he winds up
Mhm.
sending that sucker back across midcourt. It's unbelievable. Like it's an all
Yeah.
star game, dude. Relax. But that guy, I love that dude, and I don't know. Again, it's only frustrating to me because you point these things out just to give dudes crap. You don't actually want to see him because if you wanted to see him, you would love this guy because Giannis is absolutely amazing, and he is. Skip Bayless loves talking about Kevin Durant's the baddest man on the planet. You're wrong. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best basketball player on this planet. It's not close. I love Kevin Durant. Durant's an amazing player, but he ain't as good as Giannis, and I can
Yeah.
prove it to you. How many championship teams have been built around Kevin Durant? The answer is zero. Zero. Golden State wasn't built around him. Golden State is built around 30 and 11 and 23.
Yeah.
35 was a hell of an exclamation point, but that's what he was. Giannis is the bedrock in Milwaukee, and it's like that's the guy. That's what everybody said they wanted, and now you've got it, but you don't want that version of it. And that's a little frustrating. But he was out there. I mean, he was playing. He wanted it. He wanted it for 4 quarters. But this is something I was going to say to you earlier about the All-Star game. I don't know who it is that came up with the quarters format where you play whoever wins the first quarter, here's money for your charity. Oh man, you won the second quarter too, here's more money for your charity. I don't know who came up with that format. We're playing 3 quarters, and then once we get a score through 3 quarters, we add Kobe Bryant's jersey number of 24 to it, and that's the magic number you're playing for. I don't know who came up with that format, but they deserve the biggest pat on the back or shake of the hand or just acknowledgement of appreciation because it is awesome. It was great last year. It's great this year. And people are like hustling. People are shooting free throws in the fourth quarter of an all-star game because folks are getting fouled because guys are playing defense and people really want to win. And it's like, it was awesome. I had an absolute blast watching that game. It was unreal.
From what I gathered from watching the pregame stuff, there were a lot of guys really wanting to win the MVP award.
Yeah.
This is the first time it's the Kobe Bryant
That's
award.
right.
So,
well, I didn't see him lift it. I'm certain that Curry won it. Steph had like 50 points, man. He went crazy. He had like 16 threes and had 50 points. But it's very cool because, and again, this is just more of that LeBron in the draft format. LeBron's never lost. And it's like he's got a lot of experience putting teams together. But I mean, it was him and Giannis and Steph Curry. And it's like, dude, ain't nobody beating that. It's unbelievable. So Giannis really went crazy the whole game. Curry went absolutely blind when he started. It was just unbelievable. And then, very appropriately, for a game set in Cleveland, LeBron hit the game winner. And it's like, well, this is just awesome.
cool.
Excuse me. It was too cool. I really loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. And I wasn't really expecting to watch it, but I did, and I'm glad I did. I was telling you earlier, man, like I don't ever have very many nice things to say about Joel Embiid. It's the reason saying a few. I don't know if I think we talked about this on the show. That once Philly's record improved, any case that people want to make for Joel Embiid to win the MVP, man, I'm cool with it now. You just got to get get above fourth, and they did, and it's like, all right, that good for y'all. That's cool. So I got no problem with people making a case for Embiid as the MVP. That's cool because they got the record up now, and that's nice. But I don't normally say nice things about Embiid because he's not my guy. But I had a blast watching him today. He was out. He was just having a great time, and it was real cool. Now, the fourth quarter, he took it seriously because you should, and that's awesome because you're trying to win. So it's like, oh no, this is totally okay. You can get the game face for this, but it was really cool watching that. And then, like I said, I don't know why it surprised me that Michael was there for the 75 team, but I for some reason, I was just really happy that he was. It was real cool. And he and Jerry West was just neat. That little interaction was cool because, again, Jerry's over here talking to somebody else. Michael goes up to him. Michael wanted to talk to him, and it's like, no, that's just a cool thing for you to do. And then him and Magic are doing what Michael and Magic always do, which is just busting each other's chops and having a great time. And it's like, God, I'm glad I watched this. It was awesome. It's been a good week for it's been a good week for me for like positive TV content because God knows, man, if y'all watch the show and you know me outside of the show, when I get down on stuff, I get real down and it's frustrating and I get tired of being that way. So I'm like, man, this was really enjoyable and by God good for you because you can shut up about that stuff now. Like we mentioned it. I think we talked about it before the show started. Nah, that's okay. I'm sorry. I'm talking too much. Go ahead, brother.
No, I felt kind of bad talking about the 75th anniversary team. I felt kind of bad during the pregame as you got Shaq on one end with his blazer on, Charles and his blazer, and Kenny, and just sitting there like, I wear my regular clothes, okay?
I was watching old highlights from inside the NBA, and it was basically it's like 9 minutes of Shaq and Chuck just roasting Kenny.
Yeah,
It's stupid, but Kenny is all like, Man, Akeem Olajuwon used to say this to me all the time. And right between that and what he's about to say, Shaq is like, "Can you give me some water?" It's so fast the way he came out with it, man. It's like, man, how do you not fall to the floor laughing at that? Because it was amazing how quick he was with it. I'm like, man, you ain't got to do that to the jet, man. But I was dying. Can you give me some water?
Little Cuddy.
It was awesome, man. Like, God dang, dude, you ain't got to do it like that.
That's pretty good.
I thought so too, man. Like, dude, that's cold blooded, and I love it. I tell you something else I saw during the festivities for the 75th anniversary team that just like made me overwhelmingly happy, and it wasn't like a surprise or anything. It was just cool to see it. Is man, I'll tell you what, Cleveland. I believe Cleveland put on the. I don't know. I don't really know how to say it, but when Rodman got announced, the ovation was just awesome. And I love that because, we grew up during the Rodman era when he was the most hated athlete on earth. So it's very cool that people now appreciate that guy and love that guy. Draymond Green got booed out of the building because he plays for Golden State. But one of these days, these young buck kids these days are going to grow up and Draymond Green will be announced for the 100th anniversary team, and they'll give him a standing O because Draymond is amazing. So I'm not saying Draymond's Rodman, but Rodman's ability to rebound for his height and for his position is unprecedented. And for Draymond's a good rebounder, but Draymond passing is unbelievable. I cannot believe his assist numbers. And I love Draymond. I just think that I'm biased because I'm biased because he's one of Tom Izzo's guys. And I'm primarily an Ohio State guy. That's my dudes. But Izzo is just awesome. And again, Michigan State is Irvin Johnson University. So I like the Spartans. I think that guy's great. But he was cool about it. He was cool about it. And Curry was good about it. He was cool. But I will say this on behalf of Cleveland, though, as much crap as they gave Curry when they announced him in the starting lineup, when he was announced for the 75th anniversary team, they were complete opposite. They were totally like very appreciative and just it was cool. It was kind of neat, man. Like, yeah, we were giving you a hard time earlier, but congratulations. This is cool. It was neat. It was real cool.
So the pregame was wrapping up, and you had like Shaq and Charles there in their blazers, and they're throwing it down to Reggie and the other guy, and then Dwayne. Then they're there in their blazers too. It's kind of like screw you, Kenny.
It's hardcore, man. Man, it's the guy who does games with Reggie all the time. It's Kevin something, and he's got that incredible voice. And I can never
Kevin, but I couldn't Halloran or something like on those lines.
Harlan.
Okay.
I can never remember that guy's name, and it's insane because he's one of the voices on 2K video games. His voice is awesome. I can't believe I don't ever remember it. But I'm saying, the guy that hangs out with Reggie, I do it too. I can't. I don't know why I can't remember his name.
What they did kind of an interesting thing with the All-Star game this year that I thought when I first saw it on the TV guide, I was like, why are they doing this? But they had the TNT feed and also a TBS feed.
TBS feed, yeah.
Which I was like, okay, that's different, but they're literally like right there next to each other. The TBS feed had the Inside the NBA guys calling the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope they do that a lot more often.
I love the idea of selective commentary. I've always thought that if ESPN would just fire all their play-by-play people, and that's one of the things nobody talks about it. I appreciate, the number one selling point of the NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV when that was a thing was you can watch whatever teams you want to. But DirecTV never sent anybody to do commentary. When you watch those games, you're getting the local feed, which means you're getting typically local announcers.
Yeah.
Night and day different. The NFL, I'll take that back. That might not be true, but with baseball, it was 100% true. If you're watching the Braves and you live in Wisconsin, you're getting Ernie and Joe and Skip and Pete, and it's like that is absolutely incredible. Well, we have to keep our journalistic integrity and we can't show any favoritism. Fuck you. You're a prick. You have to go out and sell crap for whoever tells you to sell crap. I despise national announcers so much. Let me rephrase that. ESPN announcers, because TNT announcers are national, but they're fantastic. They're fantastic. So it's like it doesn't have to be that way. It's just who writes your checks and what's your agenda, and it's so frustrating. But especially whenever you can watch like a local game, because like if you watch highlights of the Hawks and we're in any other town, it's the local announcers. And man, it's fun to hear them talk about your guys, even if they're mad because you're winning. It's like this guy works for the Grizzlies. He's supposed to be mad, and it's cool.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a good idea. To hopefully maybe they're kind of testing doing this maybe for the playoffs or something. Uh, I would like them to do that again.
Dude, Shaq and Kenny and Chuck for the playoffs. That and Ernie. I don't mean to diss Ernie, but you're man. If I can listen to those guys do the playoffs, you are absolutely correct. That would be nuts, man. I would love that. But it was cool. I flipped over. The only frustration I had with the Inside the NBA when it was picture in picture, and I hate that. It's like, man, I know who's who. I don't need to see him. When Shaq's talking, I know it's Shaq. I promise.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to think that, I'm not going to think that Kenny is speaking when Shaquille's telling me something, man.
Yeah, yeah. But I think maybe it was something that they did kind of pick up on from ESPN doing Monday Night Football this year, because the Manning brothers feed was pretty freaking good. Pretty entertaining.
It's the same thing. If I could just listen to them, I would love that. But the interview they did with Tom Brady that's the most fun I have ever had watching Tom Brady do anything, because it was different. He's not talking to a reporter. He's not talking to some idiot. He's talking to compatriots, people that he knows. It was awesome. It was really, really fun. But yeah, I like that. I'm with you. I like the Mannings just sitting there watching the game and having a conversation. It's like, this is cool. It is real cool, man.
Man, it's good stuff. Man, my one thing that I've done since the last time we sat down and talked is have you watched Jackass Forever?
I have not watched Jackass yet.
I went out, I had to go see it just because I just freaking love those movies and the show. And
spent a lot of time with those guys.
yeah, man, I had to go check it out. And essentially it's the greatest hits, which is kind of what I was in the mood for.
That's cool.
A little bit. Now, if they're doing what they seem to be intending to do with this movie, the essentially the idea is to try to introduce a new cast. And if that's the case, then this probably is my last one, just because there's nobody in the new cast that is remotely as entertaining as who we've already had. And that's not to say that I like everybody that was a part of these movies to begin with. If it's not Knoxville and Steve-O and Pontius, then take or leave it. So, but there is of the new cast. There's one standout. There's a girl, Rachel Wolfson, who's like straight up pretty ballsy with some of the stuff that she does. But for the most part, I would think this is pretty much the greatest hits. It's a lot of the if you can even call what they do stunts. It's not really a stunt when
stunts.
You're. Hey kids, you like stunts?
Do you like stunts?
it's just filmed endeavors, but the Rachel Wolfson, she's pretty ballsy with some of the stuff that she allows them to do, which it's just impressive. That's what impressed me the most. But for the most part, of the new guys in the cast, I'm just like, there's just nothing that makes me want to come back and watch them again. There were the people in the Jackass cast that I liked them and would show up for anything they did, the Steve-O's and the Pontiuses. And then there were the people in the cast that, even if I didn't like them, I liked seeing Bam get punished and run over. and the guys like that, the Dave Englands, like, man, beat the hell out of that guy. But so that's kind of where I'm at with that movie, and uh, part of what they do in the movie that just it's just like, man, what it just feels like, why did you even try to do this? But they know, and they've known for a long time, there's it's way too recognizable, and there's just no way we can go out and actually interact with real people.
Yeah.
But the stuff that they try to do that's implying they're interacting with real people is so freaking fake. It is so fake, but there's no way this is real. This even looks like a movie set.
Yeah.
And I can't prove it. However, they can't disprove that. Uh, there's a scene of Knoxville doing the old man going into the store, and everything gets blown through the roof. Like, this isn't real. This isn't real at all in the slightest. There's the if you know Dave Link, if you're familiar enough with the Jackass guys to know Dave England, you know he has a propensity for doing stuff that involve it. That's the stuff that with Jackass that I always gross me out. You need the body fluid stuff. I'm like, oh God, but that's what Dave is blessed with. And there's just one particular scene that it almost kind of felt like with the Jerky Boys recordings back in the day, when I think they were nervous about some of the laws of prank calling people and recording it. On top of that, they would put ads in newspapers to get people to call them. It's like, there, you can't sue us if you call us and we mess with you. There's a scene set up where it feels almost like there's a yard sale set up. Just in the middle of this freaking yard sale, there's a toilet. What's Dave gonna do? And but it's stuff like that. It's like,
what's
this.
Dave gonna do?
Yeah.
There's a toilet in the middle of the yard, so it must be Dave England's part.
Here he comes. But that stuff. This is so freaking fake. It's so fake. But I don't care. I like it. So I just had to go check it out and just dug the crap out of it, and apart and I had heard some of the stuff going in, but I didn't care enough to really investigate it. But apparently Bam's fired and got fired uh, leading into this movie coming out, and he was causing a big stink online, even to the point I think he has lawsuits against Jeff Tremaine, and I think maybe even Knoxville too. But honest to God, man, everything that I've heard and seen that he's been putting out there, man, it sounds like the ramblings of a drug addict. Honestly, that's the best plainest way I know to put it, man. I've just heard this too many times.
Yeah, I hate how easy that is to believe. I hate it. That just sucks. And I know he's had issues in the past, and so I feel bad for him. But it's like, crap. I hope that's not the case, but unfortunately, it's kind of easy to believe that maybe it is. It sucks, man.
And I had not seen Bam in a long time, and man, when if you can look it up and see, man, he's like turning into his dad, and it's not a compliment. But
it's sad to think he was always going to. As far as like putting weight on, it's like it's genetic, bud. It's just anytime he'd pick on his dad for how fat he was, it's like, hang in there, brother. It's like it's that. Be careful. Just be careful. Not. I'm sorry to be a jerk about it, especially if he's having problems with substances. Like we talked about, man. I can see doing a fourth Jackass being particularly hard for him because I mean everybody was tired. Everybody liked God, why is his name not in my head?
Ryan Dunn.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, everybody was tight with him, but that was
It's
different.
different.
They were like,
and I think that's why I think getting fired the way he did kind of stung.
Yeah, maybe
as
so.
much as it did. But I think them having to fire him was like, man, we pretty much we can't have another person be lost on our watch.
Yeah, we've done this once. I can see that. Yeah.
So it's a catch-22. And from what I gather, uh, going into doing this movie is that's what they knew they had to do is they set him up with I guess like a wellness clause in the contract, and part of that is like you're going to be subject to being tested.
Mhm.
And he he pops hot on one and pops dirty or whatever the terminology is amongst the kids these days. And that's like, man, that's it. It's automatic at that point.
Yeah.
And what was he set up to fail? It's depending on who you believe. I, and but honest to God, the only person I've heard say anything about it is him, and everything he says is like, I just don't believe you, and I don't believe uh, any lawyer out there is going to be able to get you what you think you're going to get out of some type of lawsuit. Like this is pretty binding if you
Yeah.
sign something like
You
this.
sign a contract that says you can't fail a drug test, then you fail a drug test. That's just cutting right.
Yeah, I don't understand. And and he rambles on, and I think it's a post on Instagram where he speaks of being tortured and persecuted and by these people. It's like you're the only one. It's
Okay.
like that's part of what this crew does to each other. If you can name something specific outside of us filming this stuff, then you you're gonna have a tough time even convincing me of that. you know,
Yeah.
that's just and if nothing else, you know, if you want to come at this lawsuit as saying like, man, I have a big stake in what you guys are filming now, as considering that you know Jeff Tremaine and Knoxville can talk up all this. We made Jackass at Big Brother Magazine. Like y'all saw some CKY videos that I made.
That's true. That part is true. You're right. If you're going, it's difficult to say Jackass is any one thing or one person. You're right.
Yeah,
Because it's like, yeah, Johnny Knoxville had Jackass, Bam Margera and them had CKY, and y'all meshed all that
yeah.
together. Yeah, that's a good point, man.
And that's I think that's another reason why him not being there stings as much as it does. Because if you are down with Jackass the way you and I are, going back to that part of the history, it hurts for him not to be there. But at the same time, I understand why they couldn't have him there.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It sucks, but I understand.
And I think for the
It's like Isaiah not being on the dream team. It sucks,
yeah,
but I understand.
it sucks, but what else were we gonna do?
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
and, uh, and that's one of the points that he makes in some of the stuff that he spouted out is like, if he claims that he wrote a lot of ideas for them, and if they use any of his ideas, then that's that how's it going to make him feel? And I think I couldn't tell in the movie theater, but I thought I saw it, but somebody that I had heard had watched it thinks they saw it too. There's a really quick uh, part of the movie where there is a face that's blurred out. I think that's the only thing that he would have filmed that they had to, and that there's it's gnarly. It's gnarly as hell. It's basically you can just call it the marching band. And it's basically this super fast, super wide uh, treadmill. It's like cranked up to got probably 50, 60 something. And so they're decked out in all the marching band gear. They're marching all around this warehouse just waiting to cross the freaking conveyor belt. And, everything
So
that you can
stupid.
think is going to happen happens. I think he was a part of that, and they had to blur a face. But it's if you remotely like Jackass at all, then it's got everything uh, that you want to see in it. It's at BAM, which when he was just never one of the guys I had to show up for,
I can dig it.
you know. But I at the same time, uh, if this is it for who the cast that I recognize as being the Jackass crew. If this is them passing the torch, then I'm I'm not interested anymore. Just
I
because
could dig it.
now the you know without spoiling too much, which to tell you the name of to tell you the name of this skit, I'm spoiling it, but I don't give a damn.
Okay.
It's this impressive. Rachel Wolfson does something called the Scorpion Botox
Okay.
or Scorpion lip injection. That is just like it's like, oh my god, that is ballsy, and exactly what you think happens. That's all you need to hear. And if if you now she does one another thing. It's got like it's Rachel Wolfson, the one of the new guys named Poopsie, who I kind of like, but that's just the dumbest name I've ever. And Steve-O do the mime challenge where the idea is they're going to put them in some gnarly situations, and the first mime to speak loses. And Rachel does some pretty ballsy stuff in that, which I don't know if I totally buy because the thing that she has to do, I'm kind of like, okay, what was that thing set on? How close did it get? I don't buy that she sticks her tongue on a stun gun, and
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I don't know that I totally buy that. But Poopsie, on the other hand, Mofo takes can't can't speak, can't make any type of grunt or anything. He's taking bite. He's taking it's the snake kiss that
Mm.
you see in the trailer, and oh, but he gets it on the nose like a son of a bitch. Then that was impressive. As impressive as that was, I was like, no, your name's Poopsie. I don't like it. but that's her two big things. It's the tongue tongue in the stun gun and scorpion lip injection. They're just like that's balls, and it's impressive.
Yeah, man, it's strange. I don't think I even saw 3D. Unfortunately, I got to get caught up with Jackass
That's
before I
good.
watch the fourth one.
That's good.
But I love the first two. I love the first one. Oh my God, my brother and I
Hmm.
went to the theater and saw that, and I'm pretty sure that when we saw that, it was like we went late enough, not in the day, but like in the release, to where we pretty much had it was us. It was my
Hmm.
brother and I, and that was it. And we basically howled, just howled. Especially, I mean, just it's so ridiculous. This is so stupid. But at the very beginning of the first Jackass movie, where they go to the bowling alley and take the skateboards and ride down, the freaking bowling ball to the nuts is just it's so vicious and so over the top. Like, how in the world did you pull that off? I
Yeah.
feel terrible laughing as hard as I do, but it's like I can't believe you made that work. But holy
Yeah.
crap.
When
But
when it
I
comes when it comes to the show, a lot of it runs together for me. But and when Jackass 2, a lot of and when I watch it, it comes back to me. But when you say Jackass the movie, one of the things that always comes to my mind is freaking Knoxville and Ryan's crash in the golf cart that about killed both of them,
yeah, yeah.
and the freaking air horn
God.
on the golf
Oh
course.
my God. They get that straight up with the guy lining up for him and they still it's stupid. But yeah, the fact that they see him lining up
Yeah,
and you can hear them all laughing and it's all like, wait. What is wrong with you?
but that's what I remember the most about the first Jackass movie. Oh, and freaking it's a band thing, but like, hey man, we're doing the movie. It's gonna be rated R. We can get April to use the F bomb, and indeed they do.
Yeah, it worked. He got it. He got it done.
And the second one was like they swap Preston and Phil and do some stuff like that. That's pretty good. Like I think they stick like the first movie they get April to drop an F-bomb. They put an alligator in the house. Oh, yeah, man, you know what I think the second one's like they do like a bear or something like that. But then, man, the thing with I'm pretty sure it's the second one is Bam is they get him into the what they think is going to be the wind tunnel trick, and they just get him into the cage, and they're like, "Here comes the snake,"
Yeah.
and he's like, "Man," and to his credit, and I know you don't do this on a movie set because you know you'd be subject to all sorts of lawsuits, but it's like if I was in that situation, somebody does that to me, like I'm about to effing kill your snake.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna kill it. It's up to you. Get it on video. We'll do whatever you got to do. But when somebody claims torture and you see something like that, he has a case. But that doesn't mean he's alone. He's not the only one that happened to. And I'm sure there was some type of wafer that's signed that they can dig up that will, prove that we did this to everybody. That's what we do.
This is what we do. That's the show.
The thing that's great about 3D that I love is there's several things, but they do they get their hands on a freaking jet engine, which is a full on air, jet sitting there, and just the stuff that they throw into it, the Zoom of people that like throwing footballs, and it goes they and this is one of the things that they did with Ryan in 3D is they like recreate the was it Magnavox that had the guy sitting in the chair on the whole commercial. He's like, so that the 3D is worth watching. It's good. It really is.
That's pretty fantastic, man. Anybody that would voluntarily do that, good on them.
Man, there's some good stuff. I don't recall the guy's name, but it's one of the guys that's like that really gnarly looking friend of theirs that like shows up every once in a while. They got the jet stream going, and he shows up doing the Mary Poppins, and he like totally he plants right into the ground, and it's a rough hit. He's like, whoa! It's one of those.
Not seen the new Jackass. I'm trying to think of what movies I've watched lately because I have been watching movies lately. I got that thing that happens every now and again. You know what happens where I will watch a movie that really does it for me, so then I obsess over it and I keep watching it. And this is about 2 years in the making because I wanted to see it because it's Paul Thomas Anderson, who I love. But Netflix got Phantom Thread.
Cool.
And I was like, yes, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch it. So I watched it, and I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I love, I won't say all, because I mean, the movie makers are like rock and roll bands. You don't have to like everything they do. That's okay. Sometimes you're in, sometimes you're out. But most of his stuff I really, really like. Phantom Thread, I really enjoyed. It's hard. I don't want to like ruin too much, but I mean it's old, so I guess like, well, you know what? I will. It's old. People have seen it.
Considering who he's working with, I would expect it to be good.
Well, it's interesting. That's the thing that's cool about it. I get it because everybody worships Daniel Day-Lewis, and I get it. But what's so cool about him in this is it's very quiet, very quiet. And as far as I'm Daniel Day-Lewis, and I chew up the scenery, and I drink your milkshake, and it's not to diss him at all. It's just to say it was a neat choice for him to take this role. Because Daniel Day-Lewis, he's Bill the Butcher. He's so awesome. Oh my God. Phantom Thread, first of all, the reference, the name is twofold. One, it's a literal thing in the movie about he's like a dressmaker, a wedding dressmaker, very, very famous, world renowned. And he talks about like messages. He says you can pretty much sew, any message into the lining of any article of clothing that you make, and no one will ever know about it. Phantom Thread. You literally like stitch these messages and put them inside of a coat or a wedding dress, You don't tell anybody, they don't know. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's the literal reference, but the main point that he's trying to make, I think, with the name is the things that connect one person to another. And it's not two direct people in this movie. It's the oh, for Pete's sake, sorry, I just forgot Daniel Day-Lewis character to everybody. It's the thread that connects him to his mom, who was a seamstress and taught him his profession. It's the connection between him and his sister, which is a wild, it's hard to explain, but I'll try. And then ultimately, it's the connection between him and the main woman in the movie, which is like she's basically, not basically, she is his muse. She's like a waitress, and he's like fascinated and brings her into the fold and is just inspired and blown away. And ultimately, and this is the big thing about the character, he is ultimately, in my opinion, there's one of two things going on in this movie. And the thing that I loved about it is whichever one of the two things I thought was going on, when I explored it this way, I loved it. And when I explored it this way, I loved it. I don't know how you begin to write a script like that, but it was awesome. It was really, really good. But ultimately, you've got Bill the Butcher, and you've got oh, what the heck's his name, man? I can think of now as I'm sorry, it just shot into my head, man. Um, for Pete's sake, Adam Driver's character in the Career Day.
Parnassus.
Thank you, Abraham
Yeah.
Parnassus. Yeah, that character in
Yeah.
There Will Be Blood.
Mhm.
In this movie, you have this genius dressmaker who's the genius. Oh man, the tortured genius genre, like Amadeus and like Black Swan. Yes, the tortured genius genre. What happens in this one is basically you have the tortured genius who was cowed by his mom, cowed by his sister, and ultimately cowed by his lover and muse. It's incredible, and this is what he wants. It's what he craves. And the most fascinating example is not what happens between him and his eventual wife. It's a scene with him and the sister where they're at breakfast, and she's like, I hope you don't. I hope you don't kick Alma out. I kind of like her. And he's getting all pissy because the wife is frustrating him. And so he's like, why don't you just shut up? And she's like, you know what? You can shut the hell up right now. Don't pick a fight with me. You won't come out of it alive. And it's like, it's so subtle and so quiet, but he backs off. It's fascinating. It's just the entire movie is about power dynamics. But to take not only the boy character and have him be subservient to every woman character that he is associated with, except, I mean, the women that work for him, that doesn't really happen, but the sister, the wife, the mother, it's incredible. And to cast Daniel Day-Lewis to do it is really incredible. And it's Daniel Day-Lewis. So, of course, it's like, oh, I can do the other thing too. I don't have to be loud and yell all the time. And he doesn't. It was awesome. It was an incredible movie. And what they're talking about, and not thematically, not just thematically, but just ideologically, it's like, man, these are things that people do not talk about. The idea, I mean, you had 50 Shades of Grey, and it's all like, yes, she has a boss who's basically domineering, and it's basically a BDSM story, and ultimately the girl wins, but she was completely subjugated sexually. This is boring and it's stupid. To flip it on its head and actually talk about why people like these things, don't talk about, if you're going to talk about BDSM, try to explain why the people that like it. That's way more interesting. The psychology of being dominated and people being interested in that, that's fascinating. Because I think I speak for a lot of people. I won't say most, because who knows? But a lot of people, I have no idea what it's like to be turned on by that. So you can tell me. That's interesting if you tell me. And it's like, this is just cool. It was a very, very good movie. But you mentioned a great point with Daniel Day-Lewis being in it. I just thought it was such a cool thing. And it was presented as, oh, here we go again, another Daniel Day-Lewis character where he's, the dominant, massive, over the top. Yes, I am the center of all things. And it wasn't that at all. It was the complete opposite. And you have to watch it to find that out, because it's like, what is happening? It was awesome. It was very, very, very good. And that was the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, I'm like, yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a very good review for that movie, but it is excellent. I thought it was great. But on the complete other end of things, where it's not like a psychological thing or what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say no depth because that sounds like a criticism. I don't mean that at all. But I was turned on. I got a coworker named Ellie, and Ellie told me, "Hey, there's this show on Netflix. You should watch it." I said, "Okay, what's it called?" And they say it's called Somebody Feed Phil, and apparently it's Phil Rosenthal.
Oh yeah. The
Fantastic.
uh, Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yes,
Phil. Yeah.
and it's a show. And understand, I'm not a huge Everybody Loves Raymond fan. I don't. It's not my thing.
Mm.
But I'm like, sure, I'll give it a shot. And it's this dude who loves food.
Yeah.
Excuse me, is super open minded about food, and it's just him going around the world eating food and having a fantastic time doing it. It is like the
Yeah.
most positive. It's just the greatest. It is awesome because
Yeah.
the only thing that he apparently likes doing more than eating good food is letting the people that made the food know that he appreciates it and just making them feel like gold.
Yeah.
He's a really, really neat guy, and the show is just like the most positive, over the top good time imaginable. It is awesome. And on the subject, I think it's the second episode when he goes to San Francisco. There is a place in San Francisco that is run by a French woman named Dominique, and every now and again, you know how it is. It's weird and it's stupid, but I don't care. This is the truth, so I'll tell people what happened. It is very, very fun to turn on a movie or a TV show or something like that and to instantaneously just fall in love with somebody for no reason other than the fact that it's like, I love this person.
Yeah, man.
Dominique, episode 2, San Francisco. I love that woman. I mean, the second she came on the screen, I'm like, yes. Then she started talking and she started telling her story. And it's the way she tells the story, the way she carries herself. And my favorite thing about this woman is that she's in her place and she's talking about how the object or the objective, I'm sorry, of the place was to, bring the cuisine of her childhood back around. And she's like, it's pretty much vegetables. And oh, I don't remember what the other thing was. Oh, I'm sorry. But it's just fantastic. It is so, so cool. But that wasn't my favorite part. I'm sorry. My favorite part is it's her restaurant, it's her joint. She's hanging out with Phil. They're eating. And the people in the kitchen, the guy that's serving them food, they are all like deliriously joyful. And I'm like, okay, you're a 3-time Michelin star winning chef who has come from France to San Francisco. This is your place. You run it, and everybody that works for you is overwhelmingly thrilled and happy to do so. There was just something that speaks so highly.
Very, very rare in the restaurant industry.
Yes, people are miserable and
Yeah.
awful because it's art and it's brutal. So I'm like, well, that's just cool as hell to find somebody. I just loved it. I love that woman, man. Again, name's Dominique. I don't remember her last name. I'm sorry to say, but oh my, I'm in love. It's like this is the coolest person I've seen in a long time, and I'm very, very happy that Phil did that. And again, that's episode 2, and then episode 3 is the Mississippi Delta, which is basically him hanging out in Memphis, and I'm like, Phil, I love you. I love that show. I'm so fortunate to have been hooked because I never would have found that. And then, of course, I was telling Ellie this. I said, the thing about it is, I love this show. But on top of that, you know how Netflix is, man. As soon as you put something on your list, you're going to get suggested, oh, if you like that, you'll like this. I got like half a dozen food related things. I love food as a genre. I love it. So I got like half a dozen other food documentaries recommended to me immediately, and I'm like, I'm hooked up with good material forever. This is awesome.
I I don't know. I know I've seen that. I found out about that show through Phil being on other shows talking about it, like
Awesome.
podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And I I, I want to say that the origins of that show might be PBS.
Okay, that'd be cool. Makes sense. Totally makes
Seems like
sense.
maybe that's where it started, but I've never heard anybody sit down and watch it and be like, no. Everybody loves it that
I
sit
can
down and watched
understand.
it.
I did that guy. He's just fantastic, and he
Mhm.
just has the best time going around and eating food and telling people how good it is and making folks feel good. It's awesome. Like again the one in Memphis where he winds up getting like conscripted to be a judge at like this local contest, and man, all the interactions between him, it's like him and this one other judge, and they're like hanging out and eating together and confabbing, and like every single scene of the two of them together, it's like the sweetest. It's just awesome. It's like I can't believe these people haven't known each other for years because they're just having this conversation like buds eating.
Yeah.
It's so good. I'm very very lucky. Ellie hooked me up. Ellie's cool. Like, yes, you got to check this out. And I'm like, you were absolutely right. I needed this show, so I loved it. I love it. Love it.
That's tight, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. I guess that's my one thing. It's we like to sit and talk. As my TV thing is, I can say that Book of Boba Fett's wrapped up, and it's pretty
Okay.
much that it's the same review that I've been giving every episode. It's like if you remotely like it at all, then it's for you. If not, then ah, fine. But it's the best Star Wars that's been done in a very long time.
Cool.
So if it takes more than that to get you to watch it, then you're not going to watch it. you, you
I
know.
can dig it, man. On the
Yeah.
subject of Disney and Disney adjacent things, I finally watched the preview for Multiverse of Madness
Oh man, yeah,
with the Patrick Stewart voice, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, okay. But remember after the Patrick Stewart voice, the scene where Doctor Strange basically looks like his face goes through like a cheese
uh,
cuber.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. You ever seen the Joe Quesada art for the House of M episode? You know what? Let me see if I can find it. If I can pull it up, I'll show it to you guys. And if we get sued, I apologize.
oh man,
Oh, this reminds me. Backtracking, then I'll mention this, and then I will.
you fly close to the sun on this here YouTube and getting sued, buddy.
Man, fast and loose, brother. But the you were talking about Jackass, the next generation, or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah,
It's like Top Gear, man. If you
hmm
thought that Top Gear was just about guys sitting around talking about cars, you've never seen it. Because the
yeah,
second you let those guys go to Amazon, you lost Top Gear. I don't give a crap if you get Joey Tribbiani and Chandler and Ross to talk about them. No one's going to care.
yeah.
Anyhow, that reminded me because I was looking up something earlier because I love the Top Gear guys. Anyway, the cheese grater face for Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Oh, oh damn.
Pretty familiar, huh? As soon as I
Yeah.
saw it, I'm like, that's exactly the reference they're making, and that I believe, and I love it, and that's just too cool. I'm excited because it's Doctor Strange and anything Wanda adjacent. I'm in. I'm very excited.
Heck yeah, man.
Flip that over. Darn, sorry, y'all.
That's all good, man. That's what's up.
It seemed like there was something else, but I sure don't remember what it was. But Phantom Thread and Phil, those are my two big things right now, man. So I'm like, yes, that's cool. It does seem like there was something else I watched that was quite good, and I'm sorry I don't remember what it was. That I'll take notes and do it next show.
Man, heck yeah, man. That's what's up. I'll see y'all.
Y'all take it easy. Thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging in there. And again, thank you for hanging in there, brother.
That's all good, man.
You
Bye.